Welcome back to Predicting the NFL with Mickey G. We had a great week last week, going 11-5, and don't you worry, this accent's about to end. 11-5, that's pretty darn good, and a 145-95 as of now in the season, which means if I do extremely well, including the playoffs, I might have, less than 100 losses. That'd be pretty darn cool. However, that's probably not going to happen, considering there's only 5 losses left, and if I have as good of a week as I did this week, there's 100 right there. But let's get into the recap, boys. Well, I went 3-0 in the special games this week, so that's pretty darn good stuff right there. And, well, starting out with the crap fest here, that was when the Packers played the Jets. Now, the Packers tried their very best to lose this game, but eventually Aaron Rodgers had to decide, I haven't been able to bring my team back from failure yet this season. So now's the time. We're not losing to the freaking Jets. And they did, so good for them. Then we had our game of the week, which really was. Now, this was the Steelers-Saints game. This is the game where, there's a little bit of referee calls that we're going to talk about here. We have pass interference calls, which are kind of bad. And we also had some play calling, like the fourth down with the fake punt. Now, they may work on Madden 2008, but we're in 2018. They're 10 years from that now. And also, this is real life. Other questionable things happened in the game, but sorry, Pittsburgh fans. You might not make the playoffs. Because with that loss in the Ravens win against San Diego, big victory there. San Diego. That's right, they're in Los Angeles now. No matter, because they still have 0 fans. But with the Ravens win, the Steelers are now second in the division. And with the Colts and Titans also winning their games, pushes them either farther down the hole. So at this very moment, they're not in the playoffs. They need the Browns to win this week, and for them to make it, which is very entertaining. But Saints ended up getting the win there, and then we had our ups of the week. Great pick by me. A lot of people were picking it as well, though. But the Seahawks at home were able to hold off the Chiefs and get themselves a victory there. So good job for them. Moving on, like I said, the Ravens beat the Chargers in Los Angeles. Lamar Jackson's playing fantastically. The entire offense has just got new life since Lamar's taken over the quarterbacking. Defense has been playing great the whole season, but now it's really showing off. Then we have the Browns. They beat the Bengals at home. No one really cares. Then we have the Jaguars. They win the stupidest games that no one cares about. I watched a little bit of this game. I watched the final 2 minutes or so, just so I could see the victory. Just so I could see Bortles go back in the game. So, question whether or not he's going to play this week. I'd kind of like that. Like him a lot better than Kessler, There's something about him, It's just, he's the boat. You know what I mean? But then there was the Patriots who tried their best to lose against the Bills, but the Bills also didn't do themselves any favors. Then we had the Oakland Raiders beating the Broncos in the last game in their stadium there. Considering the fact that next year they don't even have a place to play at the moment. So they really need to figure that out. That's for sure. We have the Titans and Redskins, one of the Saturday games, and the Titans came out on top here, beating the Redskins in a game where Derrick Henry just liked to run. Then we have the Giants, who were winning for the entirety of the game until finally the Colts win with about 30 seconds left, because the Giants are a failure, and that's all there is to it. Then there was the Eagles, who beat the Texans because Nick Foles is apparently the savior every year for the Eagles. He's only allowed to play in the last 3 games of the regular season and then the playoffs, apparently. But they need the Vikings to lose this week to have a chance at playoff dumb. Then we go to the NFC for the Cowboys and Buccaneers in a game where both teams were just quite dumb. But the Cowboys were able to come up with the victory there as well. Then there was the Vikings who steamrolled over the Lions to keep their playoff hopes alive. And then the Falcons annihilating the Panthers, who've lost an insane amount in a row. They started out, like 6-2, okay, and they're now 6-9. They've gone on an 8-game losing streak ever since they played the Steelers. After that game, they've fallen down the deepest, sharpest pit they could find, and it's bad. And then there was the Bears, who did their mighty fine best to lose to the Niners, but the Niners want a better draft pick, so they ended up losing that one. And then finally, we had the Rams beating the Cardinals, another game where no one cares because we all knew the outcome before it started. That's basically all there was for the recaps, couple exciting stuff, I guess, but for the most part, let's get into the predictions. But starting off, we have the Dolphins at the Bills, and the Bills are at home. The Dolphins lost to the Jaguars. The Bills beat the Jaguars. The Bills are at home, so I'm picking them to win. Okay. Then we have the Raiders at Chiefs. They're no longer at home, so they're not going to get the victory against the Chiefs team. That's actually good. So Chiefs get the win there, and they're looking for a first-round bye. Then we have the Jets at Patriots. Now, this is always a fun game. The Jets always make it close. They always, make you think they're going to pull it out. And then the Patriots are like, no, Belichick, I guess. And so that's probably what's going to happen again, so I'm going to go with the Patriots here. Then we have our upset of the week, and for very specific reasons, the Browns at the Ravens. Now, if we'll think back a little bit, the Browns moved to Baltimore to become the Baltimore Ravens. And for a year or so, there was no Cleveland Browns. And this is one of the oldest franchises, so how could you get rid of that? So, of course, they came back, and they haven't done well. They made the playoffs maybe 1 or 2 times, not many. They haven't had lots of success, okay, in Cleveland. And so, they've been building up. And this year they got Baker, they got Chubb, they got Jarvis Landry, they got rid of Gordon, so you don't have to deal with those problems anymore. Speaking of which, he's now suspended indefinitely and he's going into rehab. So, okay, Patriots, that was your only good offensive weapon when it comes to passing. But more so, back to the Browns, they, to finally, finish off their actually good season, by beating the Ravens and keeping them from the playoffs, really make things come full circle, if you know what I mean. So that's our upset of the week, with Baker and boys going out there and beating the Ravens. But then we have the Bengals at Steelers. The Bengals are trash. The Steelers need this win to have a chance at the playoffs. So Steelers, again, the victory there. Then we have the Jaguars at the Texans. Now, there's been multiple games where I've been like, the Jaguars have absolutely zero chance of winning this game. And they probably do. Unless their defense just goes off and Bortles is the quarterback and he just yeets it to whoever's on the field at the time and gets a touchdown. Or Leonard just runs for 500 yards and all these things. But the thing is, they're not going to happen, okay? They're not going to happen, which means it will happen, and I'm going to, get this wrong, but the Jaguars are going to win. That's okay. But they're playing Texans, okay? Deshaun Watson's a beast. DeAndre Hopkins a beast. Their defense is a beast. Lamar Miller's played well this year. They got a lot of things going for them. They made the playoffs, won the division. They don't need to win this game to make the playoffs. They can just let the Jaguars win. But I don't think that's going to happen, so I'm picking the Texans in hopes that the Jaguars are like, how dare he not pick us, and they win or something. And then we have the Colts at the Titans. This is the most important game of this week. It decides whether or not the Titans make the playoffs, and who proves they are the better team and all these sorts of things, And it also depends if they tie and the Steelers win. The Steelers, they make the playoffs.
The playoffs?
Whoever wins this game makes the playoffs.
The playoffs?
So there's a lot of things riding on this game here, and I just can't see the Titans making the playoffs
Playoffs?
again. So I have to go with the Colts because the freaking Titans shouldn't make the playoffs.
Playoffs?
They don't deserve it. Stupid Titans. Well, next we have the Chargers at the Broncos. And the Broncos just lost to the Raiders, so they've lost all reason to live. Chargers, they're going for, first round bye in the division here. They've clinched the playoffs, but if the Chiefs lose, they win the division and probably first round bye. So that's very important for them to get here. So they're going to be trying their best. Now moving over to the NFC, we have the Falcons at Buccaneers. And the Falcons, they played great last week, absolutely annihilating the Panthers. The Buccaneers, on the other hand, decided to get blown apart by the Cowboys. So Falcons, if you win this, you're going to end the season in a 3-game win streak, which is not bad for you. Especially how your season has gone with all the injuries and such and things. So Falcons, have yourself some fun here. Get the win, okay? Then we have the Cowboys at Giants. The Cowboys have won the division. The Giants have won nothing. And they were actually able to fail in their loss last week. So the Cowboys here, they want a better position in the playoffs, perhaps. Maybe play a worse team. So they're going to go out here. They're going to play their hardest, and they're going to win against the Giants. Next, we have our crap fest of the week. There was a couple games that I was choosing for this. They technically don't have the worst record, like combined record, because of the tie that the Packers had with the Vikings. So the Lions at Packers, no one really cares. This does not affect anything. The Packers already fired their head coach, and the Lions, doesn't matter who their coach is. Matt Stafford's going to lead them to a mediocre season where they miss the playoffs or lose in the first round. So Packers are at home. It's hard to lose in Lambeau, so they're going to win here. Then we have the Eagles at Redskins, and the Eagles want to finish off the Redskins, and for their only chance of making the playoffs, they have to win this game. So they're going to go out there, and sorry Redskins, but you had a chance at the division. And then one quarterback got hurt, and a second quarterback got hurt, and a third quarterback got hurt, and now you have Josh Johnson, whose only claim to fame now is beating the Jaguars. So screw you, Redskins. You didn't use Kirk right, and you beat the Jaguars when you sucked. So, Eagles. Next, we have the Panthers at the Saints. Now, the Panthers weren't able to beat the Saints when the Saints weren't in the Superdome, and the Steelers thought they could beat the Saints when they were in the Superdome, but then they realized that it was the Superdome. No one beats the Saints in the Superdome, okay? So, Saints win this one. Good for you. Going to the playoffs with high hopes. And hoping for that first round bye. Then we have the game of the week here. Chicago at Minnesota. Minnesota wins this game. They make the playoffs. If they lose this game and the Eagles also lose, then they still keep the playoffs. But this is a very important game for them. Also, Chicago is trying to make a high playoff run here, so they could have a possibility of a first round bye. And so they're going to go at this, but it's in Minnesota. Okay? So the Vikings are home. Kirk's got to pull himself together. He's been around the Redskins too long. He needs to shake out all the bad juju and just get the win, dude. Come on. You're home. I'm picking you. Please, I want you to make the playoffs. I want you to show that you're a real quarterback, that you are a good quarterback, that you doesn't matter if you have a good team. Win, please, okay? Just throw it to Thielen or Stephon Diggs or Kyle Rudolph or, oh, wow, look at all the weapons they have. Win, please. Plus, Mitch Trubisky will probably throw an interception or two that you can use to fuel your team. Plus, your defense is good. So, you're a good team, and your record does not show such. Okay? So, just win. Fine. I'm done. Next, we have the 49ers at the Rams. 49ers are trash, and the Rams are good. Once again, they made the playoffs, and they might try to get one for the first round bye. They're going to want to win this game to get there. So, they get the win. And then finally, the last game of the regular season, we have the Cardinals at Seahawks. Cardinals suck. Seahawks have already clinched playoffs. I'm pretty sure the spot in which they are as well in the first wild card. So it doesn't really matter. They could lose this game and nothing would change. But they're not going to do that. Too much pride in their hearts. They have the 12th man. The 12th man's not going to let them lose. They'd charge the field if they lost, and they don't want that. So Seahawks win to finish off the season, and that is all for this week. We finish it off. This is week 17 predictions, baby. Go me. And Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And as always, adios. Joyous Kwanzaa.